one of the very few times that the prop tech sector was actually buzzing was this company housing.
Yeah.
Common Floor had raised money from Google. Right?
Yes.
So we saw residential, a lot of activity happening.
Yeah.
However, there was nothing happening on the commercial side. We started collecting only offices related data to start off.
Right.
And you will be surprised that the first starting was that, yeah, how do I find which are the office buildings available in, say, BKC? At that time, there was no place you could find all office buildings in BKC, right? Everyone was focusing on residential, but there was nothing available, right? So we said, let's start with that. But as we started that journey, we figured out that property registration data is public.
Yeah.
Every transaction that is registered is public. I give this example very often in discussions with a lot of my friends and teams, right? That look at how the cars ecosystem or the cars classified game has changed, right? You had Quicker, you had OLX, right? And they said you can list here and sell, right? Used cars used to get sold like that.
Yeah.
But suddenly a Cars 24 and a Spinny came into the picture and said, if you want to sell, come to us, we'll buy it.
इंडिया में ना लाखों लोगों को अपना घर सेल करना है जिससे कि वो अपने नए घर में शिफ्ट हो सके या जो उससे पैसा मिले उसको कहीं पे इन्वेस्ट कर सके। पर ये जो नया घर बेचने की जो ये जर्नी है ना, ये इतनी आसान नहीं है। क्यों? क्योंकि आप उसको अपने वेबसाइट्स पे लिस्ट करेंगे, फिर कस्टमर को घर दिखाएंगे, कस्टमर घर खरीदेगा, फिर उस पर नेगोशिएट करेगा, नेगोशिएशन में बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम जाएगा। तो ज़रूरत थी इस प्रॉब्लम को फिक्स करने की। एंड जो हमारे आज के गेस्ट हैं, इनका नाम है संदीप रेड्डी, वो है को फाउंडर ज़ैपकी के। तो ज़ैपकी निकल पड़ा है इसी मिशन पे, इसी प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने के लिए। और आज हम उनसे जानेंगे कि उन्होंने क्या जर्नी की थी कि जिससे कि बहुत सारे बड़े बड़े इन्वेस्टर्स उनके कैप टेबल पर आए। उन्होंने इस जर्नी में क्या सक्सेस ऑलरेडी पा ली है और कैसे इस बिजनेस को बड़ा बनाने वाले हैं। और आपको एक चीज़ और बताऊं, जब अपना घर बेचने जाते हैं ना, तो ब्रोकर्स आपसे 2% मांगते हैं आपका घर सेल करके देने के लिए। आपको 2% बहुत बड़ा लगता है, पर यूएस मार्केट में ये सेम कस्टमर्स 6% अपने ब्रोकर्स और एजेंट्स को पे करते हैं। इसके वजह से ये बहुत ही बड़ा मार्केट है और बहुत ही प्रोफेशनल लोग इस स्पेस में काम करते हैं। जबकि इंडिया में जस्ट 2%, एंड 2% में काम करते हुए भी ज़ैपकी ने एक अच्छा मॉडल बनाया है इस बिजनेस में। एंड हाउ आर दे लुकिंग एट द फ्यूचर ऑफ दिस मॉडल? लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम संदीप रेड्डी हिमसेल्फ। सो लेट्स वेलकम संदीप रेड्डी ऑफ ज़ैपकी।
So Sandeep, welcome to Sleepless Strangers, and this is the first time it has happened to me कि हमें अपनी shoot का date push करना पड़ा. So far, people have come, they have sat here at the couch, and we have started with the shoot. But with you, it has been a different experience, and I loved it. Day before when we came, it was supposed to be about the shoot, but then what turned out to be a 2.5-3 hour chat, and that was so engaging that we regretted कि हमने उसको shoot क्यों नहीं किया. And today again we have made that mistake. So I can see the passion and I can see the energy, and I'm really happy and thankful to you that you took time and made your presence felt at the episode of Sleepless Strangers. Welcome once again, and thanks a ton for joining us.
Thank you, Govind, for the invite. And same, right? When we started interacting, it almost became like an informal chat show, and we kept talking about, we should have shot just that.
Absolutely.
But great to be here and, sharing what we are doing and our journey.
And the fact that, next time when you're coming here, I've decided that, we're going to keep the camera off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Because there's so much of content that people will be able to see, and I believe so much of learning that could be there that people can learn from you. And yeah, so now coming directly to my first question, which I ask every guest of mine, how did you start in real estate, and how did the journey towards Zapkey happen?
So, good question. Long journey.
Yeah.
Long journey, right? So, I started my real estate journey when I joined Kotak Bank back in 2007 as a real estate analyst, wherein I was tracking the real estate sector.
Got it.
And remember, this is the time when the first real estate IPOs were happening.
Absolutely.
TLF listed. And as a fresh B school graduate, you get into this sector wherein you are trying to now value real estate companies and how to take them to IPOs. right? Talking to all the promoters of these companies. So fabulous experience
Yes.
to understand how these real estate companies work. And maybe 2009 onwards, this whole entrepreneurial bug started germinating, right?
Yeah.
And remember, this is like very, very old times now. When we look at 2023
Yeah.
and how startups are celebrated in India
Yeah.
and globally also,
Yes.
2009-10 was not that time. There was a financial crisis,
Absolutely.
and the first startups, right, the Flipkarts, the Olas were all starting then, right?
Yes.
Starting then. So that is when we started. After this whole real estate work that I did at Kotak, during the financial crisis, we were looking at the sector, and we saw that Groupon and Snapdeals were doing group buying at
Got
that
it.
time, right? And we said, why can't we do group
Do
buying here?
Yeah.
And actually, we never thought group buying as such.
Yeah.
There was this deal happening at Oberoi Splendor,
Okay.
where a lot of bankers were given, and a few banks had an opportunity where employees could buy in a group, right? And there was a
Got
special price for that. And remember, there was a global financial crisis, and this was one way to sell faster. And that is where we were able to figure out how to form a group of B School Iron, B School alumni,
Yeah.
and get them a discount. And then we said, there's a group buying phenomena, and there are these snap deals and the Groupons which are working
Yeah.
to enable mass group buying at spa salon levels.
Yeah.
We
We
can
can
do
do
this
it
at
at
the
real
biggest ticket
Absolutely.
purchase that a person ever does,
Yes.
right? And that is how this whole startup journey started, right? And we called that company was called Groffer, wherein
Wow.
stood for group offer, actually, right? Groffer.
Got it.
And
And is this Groffer is the same? It is pronounced the same way that the new Groffer eventually that came into.
that's again a good story, right? So
Okay.
we started much
Yeah.
earlier than this company called Grofers,
Came in.
right? So we were
Yeah.
from a name perspective, we were first, right?
Got it, got
And though their work was very different,
Yes.
but we were much earlier than that. And around 2012-13, we exited that business
Yeah.
and got into PropStack, right?
Got it. Okay. So my journey was what happened there with Groffer then. Like, when you were doing the group buying, wasn't it working, or if it didn't work, what was the reason it didn't work?
So, and I'll be very honest, right? The biggest learning there was that consumer loved group buying, right?
Yes.
All buyers used to form groups. We got a lot of consumer love from that perspective, and also this is an era which is pre-RERA,
Yeah.
right? If I don't know if you remember,
Yes.
when did you start your real estate journey?
My journey started in 2011.
Right, 2011, right? So you will distinctly remember how
Yeah.
times were different.
Absolutely.
There used to be things called pre-launches, like
Absolutely.
pre-launches, right?
प्रोजेक्ट बस रात को हमने सोचा है लॉन्च करना है और बुकिंग
अच्छा बायर है क्या? चलो ठीक है, शुरू कर देते हैं.
अप्रूवल्स हैं कि नहीं पता नहीं.
Right.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of such projects wherein you could get phenomenal discounts,
Yeah.
right? And but they were very early stages. They were, as you said, right? So then buyers used to come and form these groups, and we used to get them a good discount.
Yes.
However, these projects took, or sometimes never came to the light,
Absolutely.
saw the light of day, right? They never
Happened.
happened,
Yes.
right? And that is one problem that I saw happening, wherein a lot of
Yeah.
buyer anxiety you start seeing, right? That these projects are not getting delivered and all of that. And the other problem was that builders do not pay brokerage easily, and sometimes never pay.
Never paid.
Right? And that experience somehow, I think, were the biggest challenges for Groffer. Hopefully, now primary business wherein people sell builder properties is much better given RERA, given consolidation of top tier builders. But I still think somewhere, this problem where brokers have to go and get paid from the developer post a transaction is still not the most
And you think
seamless
today if someone
journey.
executes this idea now that the market is a little more organized, do you think it will work?
Good question, right? So someone has to try.
Okay.
But I think largely, right, in terms of in terms of aspirations, right, whoever is
Yeah.
building, right, I think generally this is already happening, right? What is group buying eventually? Group buying could be a GTM,
Yeah.
right? But eventually it is whoever can aggregate demand, right? And so e-commerce is classic group buying.
Yes.
Every e-commerce company will not say that they're doing group buying, but it is group buying, right? Because every seller is coming here to get 50 buyers, and for that you give special pricing, discounts. Similarly, whoever does brokerage or business at
They
large
get higher
scale,
slabs, higher.
and I think
Yeah.
mandate business probably
Is a part.
is a part of group buying, right? But because you're saying that I will deliver say 100 units or 200 units, you're
that.
already building in that element, right? So distribution is largely, whoever builds large distribution is indirectly group buying,
Lovely.
right?
Lovely.
Right? So that,
No, it's good. It's good.
but group buying as a GTM to enter a market, I think is still someone has to do it.
Has to check. No, it's good. Lesson learned. And any founder watching this who's searching for an idea, here we have one where you can reach out to him and ask what are the other problems that you face, which we might not have covered here. So, okay, now following your journey towards PropStech and then Zapkey, my question that I wanted to ask you is, how did Zapkey happen? Because you guys were already there in location data intelligence. आप लोग वो PropStech की जर्नी काफी लंबी रही है आपकी. तो what was the trigger point that आपको लगा कि Zapkey करना है? The reason was कि आपको लगा कि monetization at scale was difficult for PropStech. That's why you did Zapkey, or you wanted to do B2C. And please do tell us that how did you find that need gap कि आपने need Zapkey को एक particular area में ही चालू किया, एक particular need gap को solve करने के लिए चालू किया. How did this whole journey happen?
Okay, so maybe then I'll touch upon the PropStack journey a bit, right?
Sure.
And as you said, right, it's been a decade of doing
Yes.
Data intelligence, and we were pioneers in the space.
True.
Because imagine, right, 2012, after I sold off Groffer, I met my co-founders Raja and Shubhankar,
Yeah.
we've all been together for the last decade, and Zapkey is also all of us together. We found at that time, we found that the sector was buzzing, right? One of the very few times that the prop tech sector was actually
Yes.
buzzing was this company Housing.
Yeah.
Common Floor had raised money from Google. Right?
Yes.
So we saw residential, a lot of activity happening.
Yeah.
However, there was nothing happening on the commercial side. You had the large IPCs
Yeah.
having a large market share, and nothing as such happening
On the commercial side.
on the commercial side
of course.
in terms of from a tech perspective, right?
True.
And globally, we actually got inspired by this company called CoStar, which is in the
Yes,
US, and
yes.
CoStar is large, right, and originates and builds its scale from data.
Got
right?
it.
So they track all transactions
Transactions.
happening in the US, all vacancies in the US, and all of that, right? And everyone has to depend on that data, right?
True.
So these were the biggest gap was nothing was happening in primary, in commercial,
Right.
and we saw some large opportunities getting created globally. We said that this is the right, and as the founding group, we had all the skill sets. So we started collecting only offices related data to start off.
Right.
And you will be surprised that the first starting was that how do I find which are the office buildings available in say BKC. At that time there was no place you could find all office buildings in BKC, right? Everyone was focusing on residential, but there was nothing available, right? So we said, let's start with that. But as we started that journey, we figured out that property registration data is public.
Yeah.
Every transaction that is registered is public, right? And to date, right, I think that awareness somehow is still low, right?
True.
Because of us, I think B2B institutions, at least on the institution space, this awareness has increased, but consumer space, it's still very low.
Yeah.
That every time you register a property, it becomes a public record, you can get it. It's a state subject, it is not an easy job to collect it. But when we realize that this is, imagine we were from the sector and we still we were also a little unaware at that time, and when
Right.
we found that this is public, that is where our true journey of PropStack started to scale that uh, transaction data set. How to scale that from say Bombay to
Yeah.
Bangalore, because it's a state subject. It means everything is different, right?
The language.
Every state has a different language. Every
Rules.
state has a different input.
Yeah.
What do you need to search, right?
Absolutely.
You can't, for a layman, right? You
Yeah.
can't go to a government site and say, show me transactions of say one building,
Yeah.
by building name. You need to know a survey number.
True
You need to know a village name. And to the extent that these village names are not common at all. If I ask you, uh, can you guess what would BKC be called as a village?
As a village. No.
It's Kole Kalyan, right? It's a British era name. So these are the things
That
you have to study and
match.
solve
Yeah.
at scale to figure out the whole thing, right? So PropStack journey started that way.
Got it.
Built this data set, multi-cities, focused only on office buildings, created a good subscription business where lenders and private equity and developers and all these clients started paying us annually, and that helped us build a very good sustainable business, right?
Got it.
And that is PropStack journey, a good sustainable business, right?
Yeah.
Now, somewhere down the line when we progressed, right, doing all of this, we figured out that this data is available. We were doing only office buildings. Office buildings, whatever said and done, is a finite set of buildings,
Yes.
right? मतलब 1000 बिल्डिंग कर लिए, अच्छा काम हो गया, right?
True
इस
that.
बिल्डिंग में every sale, every rent आ रहा है.
Hmm.
And for the first few years, we did not get, we never thought residential, because as soon as you say residential, it is
No
the
shit.
number of buildings just
Yes.
multiply, explode, right?
Explode.
मतलब even if you say 1 lakh buildings, ठीक है यार, that still may not cover everything.
Yes.
ठीक है? So we never thought of that for the first few years of the journey.
Right.
But somewhere when the ship became stable, we started thinking about it. And again, we were the pioneers to start residential registration data, right? Tracking every registration that is happening. And that was again a different problem to solve, because it's at scale, right?
Absolutely.
100,000 buildings to 1 lakh buildings in the same cities had a lot of tech capabilities that we had to build to able to solve this. We solved that as well.
Yeah.
And that is where we saw that this data that we have has a lot of consumer value. Who
Right.
needs this data, right?
Yeah.
Apart from an institution, a buyer wants this data
Right.
before buying a house. And multiple such, but the biggest was a buyer wanting to see this data before
True.
buying a house, right? And then we just started this as an experiment. Let's put this data out and see what happens,
Got it.
right? And that is how Zapkey journey started. It was not thought through that it will become something
Yeah.
that we said let's just test it out with consumers, and that's around 2018-19,
Yeah.
right? So we put this data out and it started adding value. We got a lot of consumer love. At that time, now again, right, cut to what was happening internationally.
Yes.
Open Door had started in the US in around 2017 or 16. I'm not remembering the correct year. But they bought this trend called iBuying,
Instantly. Yes.
right? iBuying meant if you want to sell your house, come to us, we will buy it,
Got it.
right?
Yeah.
And that was like,
Exploding
"Bhai,
at that
ye
point."
kya bol rahe ho?
Yeah.
What is happening, right?
Change the landscape.
Change
of
the landscape of the entire sector at that time for the few years, right? Everyone, because I think as a sector, right, shook everything,
Yes.
right? Ki, yaar, this is something real, right? And at the core of iBuying,
Yeah.
guess what is at the core of iBuying? Data.
The data. Yes.
If you have to take any such decisions,
Yeah.
you need to know every transaction that is happening, what pricing, velocity, all of this thing, right? And given the state of the market, you get all of this data. It's not like it's proprietary to them, right? It is already available to a lot of them. Zillow did its estimate.
Yes.
Open Door just bettered it with saying I'll buy it only, right?
Yes.
And as all of this was happening, we said we are good at data, right?
Yeah.
Let's start that journey. When we spoke to consumers and some of the developers as well, right?
Yeah.
We figured out this need that India is actually seeing a lot of people who want to upgrade, right?
Got it.
We also saw through our data that resale is almost as big as primary,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
But the only difference is that
It's
primary
more fragmented.
is concentrated across
Yes.
these set of new projects. Secondary is happening across every building,
Yeah.
right? So because of that, nobody probably understood the scale of it, but our data shows that it is almost as big as primary, right? And again, nobody has done anything in resale.
Right.
Everyone is trying to focus on the lower hanging fruit, which is going and selling a developer's inventory, right?
Right.
And from a marketplace perspective, I think we saw that there are a lot of gaps, right? So we said, given that we have data strength,
Yeah.
we will focus on resale as a segment.
Yes.
However, we started with thinking like open door, but cut to today, I think what we are doing is unique globally, right?
So
And
this
I'd
is
love
the
to
question.
share.
This is the question I was coming to. What are you doing?
So at Zapkey now, our promise to consumers is a home sale guarantee.
Yeah.
So we are largely attracting sellers to us, saying that if you want to sell your house, come to us.
Yes.
We will give you a price.
Okay.
And this price is where our data strength comes into the picture.
Got it.
We give them a price. If they like the price, we will give you a token amount,
Okay.
right? Which means we are committing and serious about this property. And if you fail to sell your property in 90 days, you can forfeit the token amount. Today we've changed it to forfeiting a part of the token amount.
Okay.
But this is unheard
Anywhere.
globally, right? Globally, you had maybe a much bigger thing saying buying, but we all know now in the environment that we are, open doors and all of them, right, have not performed well because of the capital intensiveness of the business. We've been able to create a very capital efficient way to attract sellers, lock supply, make the supply look better, all of this, right? So inspired by open door, but now I think this is
Very
a
unique.
very unique thing, and I hope, right, that this is how most global models may start operating, right? Because capital efficient.
So I have two questions here. One, if an inventory comes to you, are you also trying to flip it a little to make it look better, or whatever shape that you're getting, that's the way that you're taking, so that you're not making it very capital intensive? That's my first question. Second, are you the guarantee is understood, the token is understood. Is it any time frame that you're committing as well?
Yeah. On the time frame, I said, right, 90 days.
Okay,
It's a
90 days.
90-day
Okay,
program.
that's-
If
okay,
I
okay.
don't find you a buyer in 90 days,
Understood. Yeah.
that's our own guarantee.
Okay, so 90 days later, it's the deal is almost, if in case you're doing it, great. If it is not, then the
The seller is open to
okay.
forfeiting the
Go on.
token amount.
Nice,
Right?
lovely. Okay.
So that way, because imagine what is the other comparable, that in resale it is largely a market dominated by a fragmented set of brokers, right?
Got it.
Right? Hyper local brokers. Even real estate is a very hyper local play, right? So brokers of that locality only can operate and
Yeah.
help you sell that property, right? But a broker doesn't put his neck on the line,
Yeah.
right? And need not
Yeah.
not do
Yeah.
also, because the Indian market is very different. Sellers want their own price, and brokers have to listen to that and market it, right?
Of course.
And maybe we'll touch upon that in some time of the dynamics of the whole thing, right? But to your question, right, do we flip?
Yeah.
Do we do something? Our objective right now is to get good properties.
It's like really
However,
you don't have to.
Don't have to, but we still, right, in India, right, unlike the West, where there is a full concept of staging a house before
Yeah.
selling. Unfortunately, in India में ऐसा होता नहीं है,
Yeah.
right? People as sellers want to sell as it is,
Yeah.
right? But what they forget or what they miss out is that if you don't increase the desirability of this house, or if they don't look good, you are actually not painting the right picture for the buyer, right? So
True.
what we do to
Yeah.
do that is very basic thing:
Yeah.
painting and cleaning, if it is required.
Got it.
And that I think again is not capital intensive.
Yes.
If we are doing multiple houses, right, we achieve a price which is extremely low, right? So it's an important thing. Where,
Right.
and I think 30% of our houses go through that process today.
Lovely. So this part is understood with regards to what exactly are you doing. Now my question to you is, since Jessel was also here in one of the episodes, Home Exchange has a certain model in this space. You are operating. He has his way of saying that there's a guarantee coming in. Your guarantee is having a different kind of look and feel to it. Also, the fact that there is an opportunity. I am saying that okay, the brokers are engaging with you. I'd love to know how, but I can guess that they are. The customer is getting benefited, right? The one of the thing in Jessel's interview, we found that how is he connecting with the real estate developer as well, right? Where he's promising that the customer will be given a new home also via them. Why are you not doing that? And in that case, the primary developer market, you guys are not touching at all. How is this part of the operation going for you?
Okay, good question. So I think we've taken this GTM, a go-to-market strategy.
Yes.
We've not said we'll not reach the builder, right?
Got
The
it.
builder has a pain point,
Yeah.
right? And needs our solution.
Yes.
However, why we have done what we are doing is
Yeah.
basis our learnings on the ground, right? That
Yeah.
what we've realized is that if you have to actually guarantee the sale of a property,
Got it.
right? The economics are such that there is a stamp duty and registration,
Yeah.
right? Which means if you have to buy, you have to plan for that, and all of the other ancillary costs to buying a house. Now, as soon as you do that, you have to discount your pricing for the seller.
Okay.
The price that you can guarantee to the seller is going to be a discounted price,
Okay.
and not a fair price. And when I say fair price, it is largely at which the property will sell. There are recent transactions which show that there is a comparable property
Yeah.
that has been sold at that price, right? It may not be the highest, but it's also not discounted. But as soon as you say, I will guarantee the sale of a property, as a business, you will start thinking of factoring in costs that may come in,
Yeah.
which are large, right? In India, stamp duties,
Duties,
depending on the
6-7%.
state you are 6
Yeah.
to 10%,
Yeah.
right? So, factoring those costs in, you as a business will start factoring in
Becoming
the
a
price
friction.
and you will start discounting it, right?
Got it.
And our learnings were that, and we tried this also.
Mm-hmm.
Our learnings are showing that sellers in India are not desperate sellers, right? If a seller is actually intending to get a 1 CR property value, which may not be fair, right? His expectation is say 1.2 and the fair price is 1 CR, right? If you offer him something which is discounted, he will not accept it, right? That's the problem where we are seeing that majority of the dropouts of sellers is largely because of expectation mismatch. And the more you discount, the more the funnel you drop, right? It becomes a business where you're serving very limited number of sellers, right? And that I think is the insight that we have, wherein we want to build a business wherein we create a marketplace wherein at fair prices more properties sell, and because of this volume, we will enable more sellers to upgrade to a new house. So it's our phase 2,
Got it.
not phase 1, because phase 1 limits the number of sellers that we can benefit.
Understood. So, expectation mismatch is something that you mentioned, and I believe, based on my observation, इंडिया में जो होम बायर्स हैं, जो एंड यूज के लिए घर खरीद रहे हैं, वो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत सेंटिमेंटल होते हैं अपने घरों को लेकर, राइट? शिफ्टिंग टू अ न्यू होम, if they get a chance to not sell the old house, they will not sell it, right? So I'm pretty sure there's one set of buyers जिनको नए घर में जाना है, उनको तुरंत सेल करना है क्योंकि उनको पैसा चाहिए, इसलिए वो आपके पास आएंगे और वो फटाफट डिसीजन ले सकते हैं. But I'm pretty sure there's a set of buyers who are just selling it because they are planning it long term कि इतना पैसा रखो, कभी भी जरूरत आएगी, we will do it. Now between both of these TGs, right, the audiences, how has been your experience? I believe the guys who are looking at the long term and they are having patience रखेंगे अपने को और वो ज़्यादा हड़बड़ी में आपको प्राइस को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे. But these other set of guys who want it desperately, they might be accepting a price which may look like a low ball to them, at least in their head. How do you deal with these scenarios currently, and what are your customer experiences? If you could just put a little light there.
Just continuing with the last answer, right?
Yeah.
And this question.
Yes.
सबसे बड़ा हमारा कंज्यूमर इंसाइट ये है
Yeah.
कि यार all of India, right? And this is from sellers, right?
Yeah.
We understood that sellers and us as Indians, we do not understand time value of money.
Okay.
And when I say time value of money, it means कि यार अगर प्रॉपर्टी का फेयर वैल्यू 95 lakhs है एंड सेलर का एक्सपेक्टेशन 1 CR है,
Got it.
राइट? एंड वी आर सेइंग इन 95 lakhs 3 महीने में बिक जाएगा.
Got it.
At 1 CR it may sell, but it may take time, it may take 1 year, right? And may not sell also, but the seller will say I'm okay to wait, right? Imagine a 95 lakh today is equal to a 1 CR in 12 months,
Yes.
right? टाइम वैल्यू ऑफ मनी इज लाइक आज अगर बेच दिया होता तो इसको भी एफडी भी करता तो 1 करोड़ हो जाएगा ना, ये हो गया ना. बट दिस इज व्हाट वी ऑल फेल टू अंडरस्टैंड बिकॉज प्रॉपर्टी इज सो क्लोज टू हार्ट एंड इट इज समथिंग दैट वी विल नॉट बीन एबल टू सॉल्व. एंड आई डोंट थिंक कि हम ये सोल्यूशन कर पाएंगे. इट इज largely a cultural issue where time value of money is not understood that well. And because of this I think the biggest dropouts happen कि यार मेरे को तो मेरा प्राइस चाहिए.
Got it.
ठीक है. And also what this does is that sellers remain in a cycle of selling for a much longer time, right? It's so common that यार हाँ मैं बेच रहा हूँ, brokers will say अरे 1 साल से बेच रहे हैं, ठीक है, 1 साल से बेच रहे हैं, I know, right? So selling itself is a journey, right? I think a lot of sellers, right, in their journey, if they don't like the price today, maybe coming back into the cycle in 6 months when they see the market, when they hear buyer expectations and all of that, they may again come back. But it's just that more sellers stay in the journey for a longer time. Hopefully, as a platform like ours becomes bigger and branded, and you say a Zapkey price is a fair price, right? And we are consciously trying to make this effort that we do not discount, right? Because you want to be the first port of call as a fair price. As soon as you start discounting, you don't become the first port of call. You become the last port of call. कि यार last में जाऊंगा, कुछ नहीं होएगा तो ही जाऊंगा. As a consumer business, you want to be first port of call, right? So I think with that philosophy, right, we're trying to build. But this is a large problem that we see, that people holding on to prices and staying in the journey just because of this time value of money that is
lovely. So I'll take a note from here for all the audiences. If you're a customer and if you're a home buyer, you're selling your home, it's a very important point that Sandeep has just covered. The time value of money is something जो आप लोगों को समझना बहुत जरूरी है. हम बाय वर्सेस रेंट के बारे में बात करते हैं, पर इस बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता कि अगर हमें अपनी करंट प्रॉपर्टी को बेचना है तो हमें उसको एक एसेट के फॉर्म में देखना बहुत जरूरी है. वो एसेट की एक वैल्यू है. अगर आप वैल्यू को समझोगे तो वो एसेट के साथ जो आपका इमोशनल ढांचा जुड़ा हुआ है उसको थोड़ी दूर रखना पड़ेगा. विच ऑल्सो मीन्स कि अगर आपको, जो इन्होंने एग्जाम्पल दिया कि 95 लाख इन्होंने ऑफर किया, आपको 1 करोड़ चाहिए, आप इन्फ्लेशन को भी अगर देख लोगे तो 95 लाख का ऑफर अगर आज नहीं लिया, आप 1 करोड़ के लिए रुके हुए हो और 1 साल बाद दोबारा 1 ही करोड़ को अटेन कर पाओगे, जिसके भी चांसेस कम होंगे. द प्रोबेबिलिटी इज कि आप आज 95 लाख ले लेते, वो ज्यादा प्रॉफिटेबल सौदा आपके लिए होता. तो ये बेसिक कैलकुलेशन आपको करना जरूरी है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन अपने घर की जो डिजायरेबिलिटी है उसके हिसाब से. अगर वो लोकेशन में बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस हैं, आपको लग रहा है वो लोकेशन की ग्रोथ नहीं हो रही है, प्राइस अप्रिसिएशन कम है, तो बेहतर होगा कि इतने एक छोटे से परसेंटेज के लिए आप डील ना करके आप पछताएं, इससे अच्छा है डील ले लें. तो ये बेसिक कैलकुलेशन ध्यान रखें. और आपको मालूम है कि आपको घर बेचना है अपना, तो किसके पास आना है? संदीप इज हियर. यू हैव टू जस्ट गो ऑन Zapkey and reach out to them. So coming back to you, Sandeep. So I've understood this. This is really phenomenal, and I believe there's some great learning that the customers who are watching this video they will have. जो PropTech के founders हैं उनको भी काफी कुछ समझ में आया होगा आपकी जर्नी से. Now a very very important question. If you really see currently in our PropTech space, जो specifically selling industry या transaction industry से जुड़ी हुई है, everybody is on a mission to build an ecosystem of their own, जहाँ पे उनके backward forward integration हो रहे हैं. This may Analog is doing in a different way. Square Ads is having their own different way. There are other 1 or 2 more such ecosystems which are falling in place. Where do you think you are standing? You are gonna be part of some ecosystem one day. Are you gonna create your own ecosystem? Because one thing that I understood is everybody is trying to leverage the customer acquisition, and they are believing that एक बार मैंने customer acquisition cost डाल ही दिया है, तो उस customer के experience में आगे जो चीजें मैं ऐड कर सकता हूँ वो करते हैं, जिससे profitability के जो margin है, unit economics जो overall business level पे है, उसको improve किया जाए. So what's your take on that? Where are you heading with regards to this particular aspect?
I've seen this whole journey of how the PropTech ecosystem has been shaping up, right? You have a set of marketplaces like a 99 acres, Magic Bricks, housing, and then you have, as you said, Square Yard, Anarock, which are largely transaction oriented, right?
Right.
And being an entrepreneur for a long time, right, I've also seen the journey of other marketplaces, right? How
like 99 acres and Magic Bricks.
Not just real estate. I'm saying
think
e-commerce, think food tech, think cab ride, right?
Yeah.
You had Just Dials dominating a lot of these spaces earlier,
right,
which have now got disrupted, and you have a Zomato and a Swiggy for food. You have a Ola and Uber for transport.
True.
So one thing is very clear, right? Sector needs a transaction-oriented marketplace,
right?
Which is a full-stack marketplace, right? Full stack means it's a end-to-end service that has to be delivered in the best possible way, right? And I see that the sector has not yet found that player.
Yeah.
Right? If you see a 99-acre Magic Bricks and these classified sites, they're still listings.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, in the listing space, it's almost like we've seen. I'll also give one more example, right?
Yeah.
I give this example very often in discussions with a lot of my friends and teams, right? That look at how the cars ecosystem or the cars classified game has changed, right? You had Quicker, you had OLX, right? And they said you can list here and sell, right? Used cars used to get sold like that.
Yeah.
But suddenly a Cars24 and a Spinny came into the picture and said, if you want to sell, come to us, we'll buy it.
Yeah.
Right? So why this listing to a full stack marketplace is happening, right? Because in the earlier era, when internet had just started, or the first phase, right? The challenge was that the supply was not aggregated in one place. So as a buyer, you did not know where to go. So the opportunities were to get supply at one place.
Yeah.
Right? But now, when this supply became too much, right? Now everyone says, I have 1 million listings, I have so many listings, right? But now the buyer expectation has changed, saying that I don't want so many options.
Right.
Give me an option which is giving me good experience, which I can trust.
Got it.
Right? And that is where the journey of a listing to a full stack marketplace starts, right? And that's where Cars24 can today say that I have these cars which have a warranty, which have a guarantee, and all of these things, right? And refurbished, price is verified, no negotiation. So you can trust price, you can trust condition of car, all of these things.
Yeah.
Right? And they've been able to get the entire, both Cars24 and Spinny have been able to get the entire industry to transform into that.
Understood.
Okay. In fact, imagine that earlier they used to say that we have lakhs of listings.
Yes.
A full stack marketplace need not have lakhs of listings. Can you guess? I asked this question to a lot of people.
Yeah.
How many car listings would Cars24 have right now in Mumbai?
In Mumbai, I know this space a little bit, so I believe it should be anywhere around 2,000.
Good guess. Generally, when I ask people, they think Cars24 brand 50,000, 1 lakh गाड़ियाँ होंगी.
Full stack it would be difficult. Yeah.
Today, they would have maybe 500 cars on their platform in Mumbai.
Wow. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And imagine a platform which only has listings may have lakhs of listings.
Yeah.
But as a buyer, your first port of call will be to see these 500 cars and say कि यार पहले तो मैं यहाँ देखता हूँ, because यहाँ सब assurance है, trust है.
Sure.
नहीं मिला तो I'll have to go and figure out myself, right?
Yeah.
This experience that I just painted, right, in the cars.
Yes.
Now come to real estate. Where are we in the space? As a buyer, you go and you're lost. Listings हैं, listings brokers की हैं, not trustworthy. Brokers ने तो ऐसे ही post किया हुआ है. Owner listings हैं कुछ owners की listing है, but it's an expectation of the owner, and we just discussed sellers can expect anything.
True that.
Right? So no right price, no guaranteed available listings. So this is a sector that needs change, right? And also while we do this, you'll also have to assess the entire transaction.
Yes.
So if you cut to the second set of startups, which are startups or large companies like Anarock or Square, they are trying to do this at least in the primary space.
Understood.
A full stack wherein they are helping the customer find opportunity, find the property, and then maybe transact it. But I think as an overall space, this is yet to be solved, right? Resale, rental, primary, all under one full stack marketplace. So that I think is going to be the holy grail.
Yeah.
And we think we are taking baby steps towards that by first solving for resale. And I think resale is a big white space.
Yeah.
As I said, big market, 50% market,
Yeah.
no other player. Right?
Yes.
Which gives us an opportunity to build this out
Own the category as well.
own the category as well, right?
Yes.
And also I think this is a space through which you can actually build far better credibility, right? By selling new properties. And I did that at Groffer, right? As I said, delays. As a company which has just intermediated,
Mm-hmm.
you have no control over the inventory, right?
Yeah.
And given the way that the sector has played out, the sector anyways has a very poor NPS. I keep telling, right,
Yeah.
that customers who have bought properties also sometimes are unhappy, right? As a sector, this is one of the few sectors where the sector has not taken care of consumer NPS, which is satisfaction after purchase, right?
Yes.
Compared to other sectors where people are crazy about it. In e-commerce, you want the consumer to be happy,
Yeah.
right? Rating, all of these things.
True.
We as a sector, we've not focused on that, and that is where I think the opportunity lies in resale, because resale ready.
Absolutely. Yes.
Things going wrong is far lesser.
Yeah.
It is an operational problem that in fact, 1 year into this business, we've got a good playbook
Yeah.
to manage the entire It is challenging because you have to do a job of end to end with multiple teams working together to create this synergy, right? So hopefully this playbook will help us build a brand which consumers love, because very few things can go wrong.
Yeah.
And as we build that, we then get into newer categories a few years down the line.
So while you were speaking, I had a curiosity about two more questions. I'm pretty sure you know the answer to it, but I'm curious to know about it. If in case I want to list my home on Zapkey, you see, inspect it, and you feel that no, it is not something that you want to associate with. So can I go and reach out to you or on your platform and list my property anyways? So that tomorrow, if there's anybody, customers who are looking at the opportunities, they can look at my home. Because I'm believing that, when the customers are also coming to you, the mission that you are on, it will only be solved when customers feel that, इस vicinity के जितने भी opportunity होंगे, वो मैंने देख लिए. अगर वो dissatisfaction होगा, तो distract भी होगा. So how are you solving this particular problem? I hope you understood the question.
Yes, for the first few months of our journey, we were very seller focused only.
Okay.
Right, which means getting properties which we wanted or which owners were okay to take a token on at our price, right?
Yeah.
So we were just focused on getting good quality supply. And I think this is from first principles perspective, right? Marketplace बनाना है, तो first step है good quality supply. तो हमने कहा यार buyer अभी हम नहीं सोच रहे हैं.
Yeah.
Good quality supply लेके आते हैं, and good quality supply means which is right price, good condition. ऐसा तो हमने डिस्कस किया कि प्राइस हमारा है, कंडीशन के लिए हमने अगर इफ इट इज रिक्वायर्ड पेंटिंग क्लीनिंग भी करा दिया है, गुड प्राइस गुड कंडीशन, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ आवर डेटा स्ट्रेंथ एंड बिकॉज वी आर गिविंग टोकन्स, वी ऑल्सो गेट ओनर डॉक्यूमेंट्स. So we are verifying documents also. So if you collate such supply and say right price, good condition, ownership verified, who will get attracted to this? Buyers, right? So just 2 months back, we've launched the buy section on our platform.
Okay.
Which talks about these 6 brand promises that we make for every property that is there on the platform.
Okay.
Right? And because of those 6 brand promises, which is what I've already shared, right price, good condition, ownership verified, and a few others which are very, very relevant for buyers.
Okay.
They can only be addressed by the properties that we've actually collated and given a token on. Others who have not accepted our offer do not become part of this supply right now. But that, I think, is a second order game that we will later eventually introduce, because that supply is also much better than the supply that today exists on a lot of platforms, because that is verified.
Yeah.
We've given a value. There's a seller behind it, and at some point we will roll out that MLS, right? That India has never seen.
Okay.
And MLS for the audience it's a Western concept which in the US an MLS could be created because a broker has exclusivity on property, and therefore they are able to share it with everyone.
Got it.
And when they share it with everyone, you have a platform in which every property with their details, right, unit number, block number, all of that is available, right?
Understood.
Because of the exclusivity of the property, there is no insecurity to share this information. However, in India, there is no exclusivity. There is no concept of exclusivity.
So when you do this 90 days window, then also it is not very exclusive?
So the properties that we've onboarded in terms of token, that becomes exclusive. But what we've not onboarded, we are not showing it today.
True that.
Only those properties is what I'm referring to as MLS. What we have onboarded is getting shown. But what we have not onboarded is currently not shown, and that is equivalent to an MLS because those are verified supplies, right? And in India, nobody's been able to build that MLS because as a market, we don't have exclusivities, and hence brokers cannot put a property just like that with all the information on any portal, right? In fact, I don't know if you already know this, but a lot of your audience may be surprised to hear this. That go to any property portal, you will not find house number, floor. You will see floor as high, middle, low.
Yes.
Why? Why is this product design there? Because brokers can never share which property is available for sale, because if you do that, the insecurity is that some other broker will reach out to this supply or the seller and cut me out of that, right? And therefore, we've not been able to build as a country MLS where every seller property is available for sale.
Understood.
That is there, right? So I think we have an opportunity in a subsequent phase to roll that out. But the first idea is to focus on only the properties that we have, because I said great quality supply gets all the buyers.
Absolutely.
And remember I said, right, Cars 24, 500 cars probably do the magic to attract all buyers.
True that.
So that is where we are focused right now.
Understood. So, okay, now this brings me to the curious questions that I have. One is from the broker side, one is from the customer side. So I'll take the customer side first. The customer side, I'm also observing one pattern that though you're not in primary, who's selling, that part now we have an answer to. But those who are buying, have you faced this issue that the buyers are coming from a point of view where they're conflicted, whether should I buy a new home or should I buy a secondary home? How do they make this decision? Right? And there are few buyers that I know or have interacted, they're very clear. मुझे तो primary ही चाहिए, right? Because I will not go for a secondary home जिसमें कोई रहा हो, मुझे अपना खुद का नया वो चाहिए. But there's an audience which understands that नया घर खरीद के ज़्यादा वैल्यू है नहीं, हमें 8-10 साल 15 साल के लिए घर चाहिए, तो ऑलरेडी जो घर अवेलेबल है मार्केट में वहाँ जाता है. But this competition, this confusion into the people's mind, how do you address it, and how often do you see this as a challenge?
So on the buyer side, Govind, to be honest, right, it's a extremely new journey for us.
Got it.
Okay, because we just started it.
Yes.
And maybe after this question, maybe we discuss how brokers play a big role in our whole.
And that's where my next question is going to be.
But on this, right, so macro point is that, as I said, resale and primary are already large markets, existing markets, right? So we're not creating a new market. There are enough buyers who want resale. There are enough buyers who want primary. We probably, right, as we become bigger, probably can make secondary supply stand out better. Today, nobody is doing that job. what are the biggest apprehensions of, say, a resale property, right? If you look at that question, it is largely trust. Good experience, right? अरे कितने घर, हर घर में जाके देखना पड़ेगा, multiple houses. It's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Whoever is wanting to do it also is a hard work.
It's
It's
hard
already
work.
been-
As,
it's already
as a
been-
customer, I will also want to know the history of the home. What has happened here? Who lived here? Is there any bad? These are the things which are also not very available.
I'll just, again, right?
Yeah.
You need to see multiple houses.
Yeah.
You do not know what is the right price.
Mm-hmm.
You do not know whether the ownership is verified, right? Whether the condition of property which is right now, is this sustainable or there is some, it may deteriorate, all of those things which every buyer has, right?
Yeah.
And cut to primary things are sold without anything,
Yeah.
right? It's largely a different type of game. So we are not creating a market. We are trying to say that in a resale journey, there are certain set of problems.
Yeah.
And if we solve these problems, maybe at scale, as we make our scale bigger, there could be potential primary buyers who want to buy a new home also look at this as an option.
Yeah.
Because fundamentally, we believe that resale, ready to move, no risk, no GST, financially better.
Yeah.
I think primary should be a option only when you are financially in a position that you can only pay and save and pay that amount, right?
Yeah.
So you have a journey to buying a house. But if you are ready today, you actually should prefer resale if some of the trust and experience issues are
Fixed.
sorted.
Yeah. So for our audience, would you just throw a little bit of a light on the fact कि अगर वो एक रीसेल प्रॉपर्टी खरीदने जा रहे हैं, कोई बेसिक बेंचमार्किंग है कि प्राइमरी का रेट ये चल रहा है तो सेकेंडरी में शायद 5%, 3%, 10% के नीचे के पॉसिबिलिटीज होंगे, तो एक लोकेशन जो आपके लिए शायद, how much is this deviation that you really observe as a pattern, if there's any number that you could put?
तो यार मुझे लगता है कि see again, right, in resale also the way we are focused, right, that when we get into a market, we've taken a very micro market specific approach because the full stack business, we can't do pan India, मतलब possible ही नहीं है, right? So one of the markets that we've built our playbook is at Thane, right?
Okay.
So basis, the first step is selecting micro market Thane, which is data driven, large number of resale transactions happening. Then second step, which buildings? We also know which top 50, 100 buildings we have to focus on to actually say that we want to first target these buildings. And these are good quality apartments. These are not 30-year-old, 40-year-old buildings. They are largely 0 to 20-year-old buildings, right?
Got it.
And here we've seen, if you compare the primary and such a good quality, not too old supply, you will see anywhere between 10 to 15% of price differences, right? So financially also, as I said, right, it's
much more rewarding.
It is much more rewarding.
If you're sorry about a location, instead of buying a new one, 15%, 10% more discounted place, but you can live in that location.
Yes.
By choosing a resale property. Wow. So that's a great insight even for me. That's not how I had broken down that, the consumer experience and the benefit on the financial side. Then thanks for that. Now I'm going to come to the important question. And somewhere while talking to you, I realized that, your GTM is very interesting. Since you're not going to burn a lot of cash in your marketing, because somewhere I'm understanding that, there's a brokers involved to help you with these listings.
In our informal chat, how you got this sense, right? How
is that panning out, right? If you're engaged with the brokers, I need to understand how are they getting benefited by engaging with you, because they can go to the market, they can list it on 99 acres and Magic Bricks, they can close the deal, they will get their brokerages. How does that change if they work with you? So that's one thing that is running in my mind.
Fact that the insight that I'm sharing with you is that 90% of our sellers come through brokers.
Wow.
And close to 100% of our buyers come through brokers. Now, look at this, that we've actually created a platform where brokers are only doing almost the entire job. We've just been able to add a layer of trust between the broker and the seller, broker and the buyer. We've been able to add that layer of trust and experience.
Got that.
Now, how do we do with the seller? So, and imagine I told you that in India there is no exclusivity for a broker. So, as a broker, you're insecure about sharing information, right? But you're also aware that a lot more brokers are working on this property, and it's not just me.
True that.
Right? So because of this behavior, right, we found that when we give a offer to a seller and the seller accepts it, we are getting an exclusivity of 3 months.
Yeah.
And just because of that, our broker partner who bought us that seller also gets an exclusivity and a share of the revenue. Right? So we actually partners. So we are saying use us to make properties exclusive to you. So, and while doing this, you are also delivering the right service to the seller. You are not promising any absurd price. You are saying this is the right price.
Got it.
Right? Earlier, he could not say that to a seller because the seller would say, "अच्छा, आपसे नहीं करना है फिर काम. मैं तो वो इसी में बेचना है."
Now he can back it up with.
He can back it up, right? He can show that he's providing a professional service, and in doing that, gets exclusivity to him and to us. And what we believe, again, one of the pain points for brokerages or small brokers largely is that you work hard, but you have no certainty of income. Why? Because अच्छा मैं 2-3 सेलर्स के साथ काम कर रहा था या 2-3 बायर्स के साथ काम कर रहा था, अरे इन्होंने कहीं और खरीद लिया, अरे इन्होंने किसी और से बेच दिया. So you put in the effort, but you are not guaranteed of the income because you are not certain of the output. Now with exclusivity, what happens is that you have certain higher degree of certainty.
Come on.
कि एक्सक्लूसिव हो गया ना, अब मेहनत करते हैं. अब मेहनत करेंगे तो ये बिकेगा. बिक गया तो इनकम सॉर्टेड है, राइट? अभी तक मैं मेहनत कर रहा था, बट बाकी लोग भी मेहनत कर रहे हैं इसी पे.
Got it.
So this fundamentally has helped us make a lot of broker partners get supply to us. The supply that we have today, अगर ये मुझे marketing करके करना पड़ता ना,
it will cost you a lot.
You are better at that, right? You do lead generation for builders and brokers at scale, right? It is expensive, right? And so that's our seller side broker game.
Interesting.
On the other side, right now, buyer side also we think we've solved for the broker game, right? Apart from the biggest service that a broker does, I think in my view, right? I may be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, right? That जब buyer आता है ना broker के पास, broker works hard to create those 5 to 10 options to be shown to that buyer. जब वो 3 बजे Saturday को बोलेगा कि मैं आ रहा हूँ, and the broker is scrambling to set up those 5 to 10 properties. वो अपने owners को call कर रहा है, वो WhatsApp groups पे लोगों को brokers को बोल रहा है कि I have a buyer, do you have supply? वो 99 acres पे भी supply को देख रहा है कि can I connect with someone who can, and then he's trying to set up logistics कि 3 बजे चाबी और घर खोलना है, ठीक है, for the buyer. And this hard work he was doing, and when the buyer comes in, suddenly you have this experience कि यार चाबी नहीं है,
नीचे वेट कर रहे हैं.
मतलब this I think everyone's experience, whoever has bought a house या rented also, ये मतलब बहुत common है, right?
True that.
कि यार घर नहीं दिखा पा रहे हैं, not because of the broker, it's just that the structure is such, right? And to deliver a good experience is tough, right? Logistically difficult, and exclusivity नहीं है किसी के पास, सब मतलब this is so classic, right? If you call a broker and say कि यार मेरे को property देखनी है, even a genuine buyer, right? और आप पूछो कि यार कौन सा घर है, बताओ फ्लोर कौन सा है, the response, classic response is आप आ जाइए दिखा देंगे. They will not tell you which floor because they are worried कि यार ये ब्रोकर तो नहीं दूसरा जो मेरे को फ्लोर पूछ के फिर सेलर से बात करेगा, right? So they'll say you come, I will not tell you which property, right? And this is where the entire full stack thing should change, all of this, right? And is getting changed because of us. Now imagine in one building we have 5 apartments which we have put a token on and are exclusive. We have no insecurities of sharing which property, which floor. We give this information out. If the properties are vacant, we put key boxes on our houses
Wow.
right? With a QR code. If a broker has to show at 3 p.m. 5 houses, now
Yeah.
our properties become the first option because no hassle. Go, scan the QR code, get the chabi, show the house, and deliver best experience to the buyer. 5 घर दिखाए फटाफट,
Yeah.
and that is helping brokers do more visits, get better buyer acceptance. And when you do this, buyer becomes more loyal to you कि यार अच्छा service किया,
True that.
right? All of that, and that is why we see a lot of our brokers, broker partners getting buyers. So both sides we've been able to, while structurally delivering good service for seller and buyer,
Correct.
it is getting delivered through brokers.
Understood. Brilliant.
Right? I think this is unique and not happened. I've
So
seen
far.
many.
Absolutely.
You've also seen and met a lot of players.
No,
This
without
is
doubt,
unique
without.
and happening.
No, your GTM is very smart, without doubt. I got to admit that. And definitely a few challenges here and there.
Not few.
Yeah,
Don't-
I'm pretty sure. Like, you know, I can
Many.
foresee it will be
Many.
coming. But more or less is a great GTM to actually go by. And yeah, a lot more I am able to visualize, but this may not be fit for the content right now. So I'm going to move to the.
तो बाद में बात करेंगे.
Absolutely. Yes. So the next question that I have for you is, how's your traction so far? Like, you know, this journey, if specifically Zapkey is now 1.5, 2 years, 1.5
The
years. into it.
journey of only Zapkey resale,
Yeah,
right? I said पहले तो data का ही
Yeah.
था, experiment चल रहा था.
absolutely.
Resale only, right, is actually 1 year.
At best.
Just 1 year, right? We
Got
just finished 1 year. We are doing Thane. We've started Central. We've started Western. We are doing also Dombivli, Panvel. All of these ticket sizes, different
Okay.
ticket sizes. But we focus a lot on Thane first few quarters because we have to get the playbook right. Because
Makes sense. Makes sense.
किसी ने किया ही नहीं इंडिया में, मतलब कि यार इसको कॉपी कर लो.
True that.
Everything we had to do.
True that.
Right? Everything we had to do to create that full stack marketplace in a way that everything is getting delivered, in a way that the participants or the ecosystem players, seller, buyer, broker,
Yeah.
are getting the good experience.
Got it.
So now that it is expanding to multiple micro markets, and we've also taken our first step into getting into Bangalore as well.
Okay.
We started Bangalore East as well, right? Because now we
Understood.
think ये playbook को copy
Replicate
paste करना है, replicate करना है,
Hmm.
in a way that we can aggregate more sellers, more supply, getting more brokers, more buyers, right? So over the last 12 months, we've got close to 7,000 sellers,
Okay.
500 properties onboarded where sellers have accepted a token,
Okay.
and we've sold 350 plus. Some
Wow.
have not been able to sell, but they're very small, and a
Lovely.
lot are in work in progress. So that's
Super.
that's the scale that we built. It is still small compared to the journey that we anticipate.
No, but the first year, if
It
you're
is-
wanting to correct your playbook, make it standardized, I believe that's a very fair traction to actually look at. Because I'm pretty sure once the word of mouth enters, and specifically your GTM is driven by brokers, and once that community picks it up, they understand the value. Because I believe that is the largest and difficult task, right? You're asking कि boss तुम्हारा जो revenue share है उसमें से हमें revenue share एक तरह से चाहिए, right? But you got to make them understand that the velocity that they can do with you, the other element which comes along with it. So I believe it's a brilliant GTM. More on it as I spoke, that we'll talk later. So there are a few more questions towards the last section of our engagement that I'm going to ask you now. So the next question that I ask all my guests, and it is because everybody I have interacted in this space has always cribbed about the kind of funding that PropTech as an ecosystem in India has got. You guys are funded. You guys have had a decent journey on that path. I wanted to know how has been your experience while raising money? Who are the people on your cap table? If you could just elaborate a little for our audience.
You are right. So I've been in the journey long to see that the sector has not got the same love from VCs that other sectors probably have seen.
Yeah.
But again, we've been fortunate to raise money both at PropStack and at Zapkey.
Yeah.
At Zapkey, we've got investors like Gruhas. Gruhas is a
Zero,
PropTech
yeah.
focus
Yeah.
fund, right? So it's like the beginning
Yes.
of sector-oriented VC, right, which is
Absolutely.
great, and support from DLF Family Office, and we've also got a check from Bloom's Founder Fund. So
Wow.
that's our cap table today. But as I said, right, the sector has had maybe lesser love from,
So,
and I hope, and so I look at it very differently now, right? Being that we've been in the space and persistent and
Yeah.
been at it, right? That there are two ways to look at it. यार कि पास देखे बोले कि यार नहीं दिया, नहीं हुआ एक funding.
Yeah.
But the other way to look at it is कि यार if you look at so many sectors, this is still one of the only sectors which has yet to see large scale disruption, right?
True that. True that.
So opportunity, if you see forward,
Yeah.
and if you see historically, it's not got the same.
Got
And there have been a few breakouts here and there, right? Because as a sector also now, it's not just, there's so many things now, right? In the sector, there is construction tech, you've got so many guests from a varied source, varied domains in prop tech, right? And I think from that perspective, the ecosystem itself in prop tech is widening,
Absolutely.
and that is good for the sector, I think.
No, super. So, my thing is, was it a struggle? How many pitches that you did to get to these three guys on your cap table?
See, fundraising, I think, is always a struggle.
Yeah.
Okay, it's maybe easy for a few people.
Few
Otherwise, it's always a struggle, and you should not. I always, this is my advice to a lot of people who are fundraising कि यार ये कभी मत सोचना कितने लोगों को pitch कर रहे हो.
Yeah.
तुमको एक ढूंढना है.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
वो mindset से ही fundraising होनी चाहिए. Otherwise,
It will be a struggle.
It will always feel the struggle, right? If you think here I want to find one, I am pitching to 100. I have to find one.
Yeah.
With that, I think it is a far better mindset to operate versus counting how many you have pitched, because that will
True that.
keep reminding you of the struggle.
So this is a lesson from this episode for all the people who are trying to raise money in this space. Okay, so the next question is an important one. What next for you? What is it that we can expect from Zapkey in the coming time? Now that you said that your playbook is sorted, secondary selling is a category play that you're looking at to get to that, owning this category to a certain extent. And from where I read it, the mode that you have, which comes from PropTech in a way, it's a solid, playbook and a GTM that you have had so far. But what's next? Can we expect you to get into forward integration, just like what No Broker is trying to do or Square is trying to do? Can we expect you to enter into a primary market? What is that you're working on?
So Govind, we right now very focused on resale.
Got it.
As I said, it's a wide space. We want to own that space. I think for the next couple of years, I think resale will be our dominant strategy.
Got it.
Because we think this is the only place wherein you can actually build a consumer brand.
True
Right?
that.
Because we want to get to a stage where people say, I want to buy a Zapkey home. It could be, it's almost like, again, I keep saying Cars 24 or other.
I understand.
Right? In fact, even mobiles, we should say Cashify is again a used mobile brand, that they're being able to create a brand servicing that segment, right?
Yeah.
So we think Zapkey Homes can become a brand, and getting to that level is our first aspiration. Because if we get to that aspiration, then I think, as you said, right, as a company, we'll have to do everything.
Got it.
We will do primary, we will do integrations of, say, home loan. Home loan, we are thinking even today, right? Because I didn't touch upon this topic, but in a resale transaction, right?
I was thinking about asking this question, that there's too much of fintech integration that has happened in the primary. Like, we're gonna have Lalit from Home Capital coming in. Who's done something wonderful in down payment assistance, right? The banks have had multiple schemes, NBFCs, but resale, there's a perception also, and maybe there's not too much of innovation happening to make sure that the buyers for resale can buy these homes at much easier,
So I'll tell you one of the biggest pain points, and I think we are very close to solving it, and you'll hear something soon, is that in a resale transaction, I don't think the challenge is in finding the buyer and the seller and getting the transaction done.
Yeah.
The logistical challenge is the documentation process of starting the transaction, post getting a token to actually getting the possession done, right? You have to deliver happiness here. Because if you don't deliver happiness here, everyone forgets all the good work done till that time, right? So it's in a full stack game, you have to deliver every good experience. Otherwise, the last experience will spoil
everything
that you've done.
Sure.
Right? So in that whole, we call that post-closing.
Okay.
In that post-closing journey, one of the big black holes which nobody can, which as a team we can't see, is that अरे home loan का process चल रहा है. Lender is doing something, which is he's taken documents, he's going to do property approval, he's going to do diligence, then disburse, right? This is a time-taking process. Sometimes takes 30 to 45 days of buyer and seller and everyone sitting and just waiting, right?
Should the seller go? Okay, so the bank guys are actually checking whether this property is legit and this pricing is legit and how much should we finance.
There is a process. There is a full process set already.
As a seller, can I do this without when I'm not ready?
You get into solution.
Okay, fair.
You get into the solution, great, right?
So, yeah.
Why do lenders wait for the buyer to come and apply, identify a property and then do this process? Is because how will a lender it's so difficult for the lender to do this from their side because it's all individual property. They can't aggregate it. We are aggregating it. Lenders do this already in primary, which is new projects. They do APF, something called as APF, which pre-approve हो गया. बस अब इसमें जिसको home loan चाहिए फटाफट, right? So why is it happening? Because it is aggregated. Resale, not aggregated. Lenders cannot put in time one case at a time. They will want to put it when the buyer is final.
Got it.
Right? Ki bhai, logistically, it's easier to do. What we are trying to do is now that we have a certain scale, we are saying, look at us as a developer. Do a APF, do a pre-approval of these properties so that a buyer who comes on this property gets the home loan fastest.
Yeah.
So what you will see very soon in the market through us is something disruptive on these lines, saying fastest home loan in resale.
Beautiful.
So almost right.
But the challenge also is going to be that the guys who are going to do the resale, they don't think because it's not their problem, right? At least for that moment.
Because because of the exclusivity that we have taken, we are now treating ourselves as seller.
Wow. Yeah.
Most properties that we sell, right, we call it a Zapkey home because we are like a seller now, right? And we are taking care of all these things. कि it's neat and clean, right price है. तो why not यार home loan भी solve करते ना इस पे. Home loan solve हो गया, they start becoming the fastest home to sell. It's a network effect taking over that will get us more supply then, right? So this I think is one of the big things that we will be doing. कि ये resale में तो at least करेंगे, but as I said, right, overall cutting to your question, right, that we will, as I said, right, the biggest gap that we see कि कोई full stack marketplace है नहीं. Aspiration is to be a full stack marketplace that India has not seen. Good supply, full end-to-end service, starting with resale, tomorrow primary, but one step at a time, right? So that's the journey.
Understood. So this last section really has given me a lot of questions, of course, but I could see that this particular part where I read this for the US market. अभी जो interest rates बढ़ गए हैं, there's a contract the banks did with the customers जहाँ पे उनका ये था कि अगर कोई customer खरीदता है घर आपका तो ये same interest rate carry forward हो सकता है. तो अभी जब market में interest rates are high, so those people, those sellers जिन्होंने contract में वो clause डलवाया था, I can't recall the exact name of the same. The customers are like doing the deals faster with them because they know they are carrying forward this old interest rate. Vis-a-vis the new customers, suddenly who have to pay 1.5% के ऊपर 7, like now it has gone to 7%. And US audience do not understand. There the money has always been a free money for at least for the last 1 decade or like more. Now this 7% is a language that Indians talk, right? So I don't think so. I was just connecting with a few friends there, and I realized that they're now feeling the pinch. Yeah. So brilliant. I would love to know more about what you're doing in this. But my last 2 questions. for this episode, which are the signature questions. 2 startups that you like into the PropTech space of India. You are following them, or you admire them, or you believe that they are going to do good. Anything, but 2 startups you got to name.
ये तो बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है. PropTech, so as a sector तो यार पता नहीं कितने सालों से ट्रैक कर ही रहा हूँ. I think यार housing when they started, right, they bought this very simple disruption कि यार हर property का photo होना चाहिए, right? I like that, and it changed the entire industry. Today verification, मतलब we say property is verified, right? I think जो हम कर रहे हैं, we are taking that to a next level. But even today, right, जो verified है, वो verified है.
Everybody they shook the industry, right? Because it questioned that if housing can do it, कल broker का क्या काम, right? That everybody realized कि यार 99 acres of magic bricks क्या.
तो housing actually broker की inventory को भी verify कर रहा था, which is कि ये photo है भाई, ये photos देख लो, ये है. Now photos have become largely normal, right? Hygiene, right? So I think that one
change and disruption because that housing you're gonna say lovely.
Right? One was housing, right? And the other, right, that I have liked, right? I think why, because it is one first principle thinking से हुआ है थोड़ा, which is no broker. ठीक है कि though it is a very different positioning and interesting positioning, and we probably are working as I said GTM full brokers, right? But I see that they have done something which is unique and created a market for them, right? And as I said, in the whole sector, right, एक unicorn बनाया है उन्होंने. ठीक है, so credit to them. I think doing different stuff, and
I've got a lot of questions for them whenever I get to engage with them. Brilliant. Okay, so 2 companies are housing and no broker. Got it. Now, my last signature question and the last question for this engagement of ours, which you got to answer the way you like it. The question is very simple. If Zapkey is an individual, what will his day look like? The guy has to do everything that Zapkey does as a company, one person who is achieving it, and without compromising onto the company vision, right? What are the things that this person has to do in a day? If you could just take us through that process.
ये क्या question पूछा है? Zapkey as a person. If you see, right, I told you we are doing resale as a business, right? And it is a full stack operations.
तो
क्या driven by tech.
I know that. This answer for audience to get an idea that
full stack marketplace is really
क्या है, पीछे क्या कर रहे हैं, like आपको surface दिख रहा है कि वो एक website बन गई, right?
Yes.
What all it's taking to make all that happen?
Good question, and it is, I think, what I will say now is like कि पूरा company करता क्या है, right?
Absolutely, yes.
तो I would, in simple line, it is like यार अगर कोई जो broker काम कर रहा है ना, वही हम कर रहे हैं, but delivered by not one person but by multiple teams.
Got it.
Broker does it full, पूरा मतलब seller को. So how do I put it, right? So seller coming to us.
Yes.
There's a team dealing with it.
Got it.
There's a valuation team. Which does home loan valuations, pricing. They do valuations. There's an inspection team. That does inspection of the properties.
Got it.
There are buyer visits happening.
Understood.
There are broker interactions happening to market these properties so that they get visibility of these properties.
True.
Then there is whole post closing process. कोई documentation चल रहा है, कहीं पे agreement registration हो रहा है, कहीं पे, and the last part, right, is what I love the most is that जब घर पोजीशन मिल रहा होता है ना, वो जो बायर का फोटो खींचते हैं हम चाबी के साथ, it's the standard thing that we've created, right? Every delivery of a house is captured, and you will see the delight on every buyer's face, right? It's a hard-earned money that they put in. So all of this culminates into that last great photo that we keep as memory for ourselves.
Wow.
Internally, it is every time it is delivered, we put it in our chat groups and social media. Internally also we celebrate that.
Lovely.
So that's happening every day.
And
at scale.
This hasn't covered what goes behind PropSec to make it work, to give the location data intelligence to your favor. Brilliant. So Sandeep, thanks a ton for being so candid. I believe there would be a lot of learning for the customers, the PropTech enthusiasts, those entrepreneurs who are trying to find what problems to solve. I'm pretty sure one or two things that they can see that what the need gaps are. And I personally enjoyed it and learned a lot from this engagement. And thanks a ton for being with us and being so awesome.
Thank you so
giving
much.
all this time that you have given to us. Thanks a lot, Sandeep.
Thank you so much, Govind, for this lovely experience, right? And kudos to you for starting this. And I hope you track journeys of a lot more entrepreneurs and
Absolutely.
and create this inspiration
It
for
is
more
very
entrepreneurs
fulfilling.
to flourish.
Absolutely, and the idea is that I'm pretty sure that based on what you have told, I see there's a small synergy that I would love to form, what you already have with it. So if more and more people can understand what we all are really doing, so the whole initiative will find its end goal, and that's what I believe that we're trying to do and drive. And I'm pretty happy that so far there have been few entrepreneurs who have landed here. They've got some business out of
Oh, wow.
this awareness that they could create here, few developers, and that's it. That's pretty much that makes me happy. And thanks a ton. And to all the viewers who finished watching the whole video, I love you and we love you. And thanks a lot. Make sure if you have any questions, you comment. Put it on in your comment section. We will get back to him. We will love to reply to you. And with that, we will be seeing you on the next Wednesday with the next journey and the next entrepreneur who's making a dent into the PropTech arena of India. Thanks a ton.